Okay, we'll be covering point slope form, lesson 2. And the directions are actually incorrect on here. We need to write this in slope-intercept form. So we're just going to know that this is what it's asking for. Now, what is slope-intercept form? That is y equals mx plus b. Or m, as y'all should already know, is slope. And b is the y-intercept. So on letter A, it asks us to write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form that has a slope of 1/3. So we need that information, and a y-intercept of -5. So now I'm just going to plug this into this equation. So y equals 1/3 x. Now, our b is negative, so we're just going to put -5, and that's your answer. So all you're doing on that one is just plugging in what you need. Okay, letter B says when a tow truck is called, the cost CM of the service is $10 plus $1 per mile that the car must be towed. Write an equation in slope-intercept form that represents the situation. So again, in this case, C of M is still the same thing as Y. So we're going to say C of M equals, well, what were they being charged? They were being charged $10 just to get the car, and then $10 or $1 per mile. So we would say 10 plus 1 mile. On your EOC test, it's not going to have $1, or it's not going to have that 1. It's going to be understood. So actually the way we would write this one is just with the M, not necessarily the 1. Okay, so let's take a look on this next one. So letter C says to write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form that contains a point and a slope. So you're given a point of -3, 2, and a slope of 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this equation and we're going to actually solve for b. So we're going to do things a little bit different on this one. So I know my x is 3. I know my y2 is -2. I'm sorry, I know that my y is -2. And then my slope will come into this place right here. So m, we're going to leave y out. So m is 3. Our x is -3. And our b, that's what we're trying to find out what it is. So using the calculator, again, this calculator is a little bit different than yours, but it does the same thing, and someone jabbed a pencil here, so that's what that is. But it'll work just the same. So I'm going to do 3 times -3, which will give us -9. So now I need to get b by itself. Well, how do I do that? Well, I need to get rid of the 9 by adding to both sides. How do I know that? Because when I do -9 plus 9, it gives me the 0, which is what we want. So in this case, b is equal to, so that y'all believe me, so I'm going to take -2 plus 9, and that will give us 7. So b is equal to 7. So now we can write the equation with what we know. We know that the slope is 3 and the b is -7. So our equation is y equals 3x plus 7. Now I'm going to show you that you can check your work in the calculator. So I'm going to type in this equation, and it's already almost there. I'm going to change that to a 7. Now I'm going to go to second graph, and I'm going to go to -3. Well, there's -3 right there. I know I'm right because it has that point on there, -3, -2. So that's just a way for you to check your work. Okay, so on this one, I believe on yours it doesn't have this box. And the reason why that is because I just want you to do stat on this one. Anytime you see 2 or more points, we're going to use stat. 2 or more points. So if you have 2 points or a table, this is when you want to use stat. So I'm going to go to stat and I'm going to type in these 2 points. Remember, our points in this case, I will use this or this. Our points are -1 and 3. I'm sorry. The x's are -1 and 3. And our y's are 7 and -1. So this will go into L1 and this will go into L2. So let me get this to where you can see it. So I'm going to go to stat. I'm going to press enter. I'm going to type in -1 and 3. And I'm also going to type in 7 and -1. Now I'm going to go stat over 4. And I'm going to enter 5 times. So if you look, here's my equation. So it's telling you that y equals ax plus b. Well, their a and rm are the same thing. So here it's telling you that your slope is -2 and your y-intercept is 5. So I'm going to write this information down so that I don't forget. So they give it to you as y equals ax plus b, where a was -2 and b was 5. So now I'm just going to write that equation down. So y equals a is -2, put your x, and then plus 5. And there's your answer. And I didn't box my answer here, but I should have. Alright, the last 2. Okay, so we're going to write the equation of the graph of the line in slope-intercept form. So a couple of things that you need to remember. So y equals mx plus b. Remember, this is your move. This is your slope. This is where you move up and down. And your b is where you begin on the y-axis. So I have to start with my begin before I can go to my move. So my b, my y, where it touches the y-axis, that would be at -1. So this is our b. So here I'm just going to write b is equal to -1. Now I need to find out what my slope is. Okay, to get to my other point, which is right here, this is where I do the move. And remember, it's rise over run. And I know I've said this to y'all multiple times. I misspell rise on purpose. So I'm going to go up first, because that's my rise. And then I'm going to go over. So I'm going up 1, 2, over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So our slope is -2 over 5. I just want to touch on this while I have y'all. Y'all are still getting confused on the positive and negative. Y'all see how this is slanting this way? So that's negative. If it was slanting this way, that would be positive. So depending on the way it slants, depends on what your slope is. So this is negative. So now I'm going to write it in the slope-intercept form. So -2 fifths x minus 1. And remember, it's a -1 because it's negative. Last one. We're going to write the equation in standard form. So we're going to move the x, change the sign, divide by the number in front of the sign. Don't forget to simplify. Okay, so the first step, move the x. What is the x? The x is -3x. So when I move it to the other side, it's going to become positive 3x. So I move the x, change the sign. Now I have to divide by the number in front of the y. Well, what's the number in front of the y? -2. my last step says don't forget to simplify. So we're going to have y equals, if I divide those two, I get -6. If I divide these two, it doesn't simplify, so I'm going to have -3/2, and then I'm going to write my x. Now, just in case y'all got a little lost on that one, if I divide -3 divided by 2, and then press math, enter. I don't know if y'all can see that, but that slope says, or that number says -3/2. So that's where I got that -3/2 from. And if you wanted to change it, you could. Technically, this would be your answer.